My boss fired my loyal 10-person team just to afford one flashy executive from a rival firm. He thought he bought prestige. Instead, he triggered a revolt. I called my lawyer, launched a rival agency, and within 5 days, I took everything. Before this story continues, tell me, where are you watching from today and what's the temperature? Buckle up, because the way I dismantled his company in under a week is a masterclass in corporate revenge. It was 4:00 p.m. on a Friday. The kind of late afternoon where the sun slants aggressively through the glass walls of the conference room, highlighting every speck of dust on the mahogany table. I remember looking at that dust and thinking about how I'd been the one to pick out this table 10 years ago. I was the one who negotiated the lease on this building. I was the one who hired every single person sitting around me. There were 10 of us. My team, the operations department of Apex Marketing. We were the engine room. We weren't the flashy salespeople or the creative directors with the scarves. We were the ones who made sure the deliverables actually got delivered. Gavin Thorne, our CEO, stood at the head of the table. He was wearing a navy bespoke suit that fit him a little too tightly around the chest, a vanity purchase he hadn't quite earned in the gym. He wasn't looking at us. He was looking at his reflection in the window, adjusting his cufflinks. "Thanks for gathering on such short notice," Gavin said, turning around with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. It was his bad news smile. I'd seen him use it on vendors we were stiffing. I never thought I'd see it turned on me. "As you know," he began, his voice smooth, practiced, "Apex is pivoting. We're aiming for a higher tier of clientele. Fortune 500s, global conglomerates. To get there, we need to shed some of our legacy weight." The room went cold. I felt the temperature drop in my chest. Legacy weight. "Effective immediately, the operations department is being dissolved," Gavin said, as casually as if he were ordering a sandwich. "Your roles are redundant. Security is waiting outside with boxes for your personal effects. You have 20 minutes to vacate the premises." Ben, my lead strategist, gasped. He had a 2-year-old at home and a mortgage that ate half his paycheck. Chloe, our graphic designer, dropped her pen. It hit the table with a sound like a gunshot. "Gavin," I said, my voice steady, though my hands were trembling under the table. "We handle 80% of the client workflow. You can't just dissolve operations. Who is going to manage the Henderson account? Who is going to handle the logistics for the Q4 launch?" Gavin waved a dismissive hand. "Don't worry about the details, Alina. That's why we're making this change. I've hired a visionary, a rock star. We needed the budget from your salaries to afford his compensation package, but trust me, it's worth it. He's going to automate what you do." "Automate?" I stood up. "We manage relationships, Gavin. You can't automate trust." "It's done, Alina," he snapped, the smile vanishing. "Your severance packages are contingent on you signing a non-disparagement agreement before you leave the room. Sign or leave with nothing." He slid a stack of papers down the table. 10 years of loyalty erased for a visionary. I looked at Ben. He was pale, shaking. I looked at Chloe. She was crying silently. Gavin checked his Rolex. 18 minutes left. The door opened before I could respond. In walked the reason for our unemployment. He was younger than me, maybe late 30s, with hair that was perfectly coiffed and a suit that probably cost more than Ben's car. He didn't walk, he strutted. He carried a leather portfolio and had an air of unearned confidence that sucked the oxygen out of the room. "Julian," Gavin beamed, his demeanor shifting instantly to obsequious fawning. Come in, come in. The old guard was just leaving." "The old guard? I am 54 years old. I built this company's reputation brick by brick while Gavin was out playing golf with investors." Julian didn't even look at us. He walked straight to Gavin and shook his hand. "Gavin, pleasure, I was just looking at the layout. We're going to need to knock down these walls. Open concept implies transparency, right? Synergy." He spoke in buzzwords, empty, hollow corporate fluff. "Absolutely," Gavin nodded eagerly. "Whatever you need." I didn't move. I stood there watching them. "Excuse me," Julian said, finally acknowledging my existence. He looked me up and down with a sneer of amusement. "Are you the office manager? Could you grab me a sparkling water? Room temperature." The silence that followed was deafening. Ben looked like he was about to throw up. "I am the director of operations," I said, my voice like ice. "Or I was until 5 minutes ago, and the kitchen is down the hall. Get it yourself." Julian laughed, a short bark of a laugh. "Feisty, I like that." "But seriously, Gavin, we need to clear the room. I have some proprietary software to install on the servers. Project Velocity. It's going to revolutionize the client intake process." Right, Gavin ushered us toward the door. "Everyone out now." I looked at the severance agreement on the table. It offered 2 weeks of pay, 2 weeks for 10 years. I didn't sign it. I picked up the paper, tore it in half, and dropped the pieces on the floor. "Elena, what are you doing?" Gavin hissed. "You're throwing away money." "I'm keeping my options open," I said. "Good luck with the synergy, Gavin. You're going to need it." I walked out of the conference room, my head high. My team followed me, leaving their unsigned agreements on the table. As we walked down the hallway to our desks, I heard Julian's voice booming behind us. "First thing Monday, we email the client list. Tell them there's a new sheriff in town." I grabbed a box and started packing my desk. A picture of my daughter, my specialized Rolodex, my awards. I didn't take a single stapler or pen that belonged to the company. I wanted my hands clean. Ben was sobbing quietly as he packed his cubicle. "Elena, what are we going to do? I can't lose this income. I just can't." "Pack, Ben," I whispered. "Just pack, meet me in the parking lot, don't talk to anyone." It was raining by the time we got outside. Of course it was. It was a cold, gray drizzle that soaked through my blouse instantly. We stood in a circle near my sedan, 10 people holding cardboard boxes, looking like refugees from a shipwreck. The Apex marketing building loomed over us, steel and glass, warm and lit from the inside. We could see Gavin and Julian in the window of the corner office, my old office, laughing and pouring scotch. "I'm screwed," Chloe said, wiping mascara from her cheek. "I have student loans, I have rent." 2 weeks, Ben muttered, kicking a puddle. "He offered us 2 weeks. It's an insult." I looked at them. These people were brilliant. Ben could strategize a campaign in his sleep. Chloe could design a brand identity in a weekend that would take other agencies a month. We weren't legacy weight. We were the talent. Gavin was just the suit who cashed the checks. And he had made a fatal mistake. He thought the clients loved him. He thought they loved the brand name Apex. He was wrong. They loved us. They loved that Ben answered the phone at 9 p.m. They loved that I caught mistakes before they went to print. They loved that we cared. "Listen to me," I said, raising my voice over the sound of the rain. They all looked up. They were scared, beaten down. I needed to fix that. "Gavin thinks he holds all the cards," I said. "He thinks because he owns the building and the logo, he owns the business. But he doesn't, we do." "Elena, we're fired," Ben said hopelessly. "We don't have a business." "Not yet," I said. "But ask yourselves this, why does Mr. Henderson stick with Apex? Is it because he likes Gavin's golf stories? No. It's because last year, when his supply chain broke down, I fixed it. It's because when his website crashed on Black Friday, you, Marcus, stayed up for 30 hours to rebuild it." Marcus, our IT specialist, nodded slowly. "Yeah, I did." "We are the product," I said fiercely, and we just walked out the door. I put my box on the hood of my car and leaned in. "I am not signing that NDA, and neither should you. If we don't sign, we don't get the 2 weeks' pay. But we also don't get the non-compete clause." The realization hit Ben first. His eyes widened. "Wait, you mean?" "I mean we start our own agency," I said. "Monday morning, we don't need a fancy office. We can work from my living room. We don't need expensive suits. We just need our brains and our phones." "But the clients," Chloe started. "The clients don't know we're gone yet," I smiled, a cold, sharp smile that felt entirely new on my face. Julian said he's emailing them on Monday. That gives us the weekend. To do what? Ben asked. To steal them, I said. Every single one of them. The fear in their eyes was replaced by something else. A spark, a hunger. I'm in, Ben said. Me too, Chloe added. One by one they nodded, 10 people, 10 experts, scorned, wet, and furious. Go home, I commanded. Set up your home offices. I have a phone call to make. Someone from my past who knows exactly how to structure a company to inflict maximum damage. By Monday morning, Apex Marketing is going to have a competitor they never saw coming. I got into my car and watched them disperse. Then, I pulled out my phone. I scrolled through my contacts until I found a name I hadn't dialed in 10 years. Silas Mercer. I hit call, it rang twice. Elena Vance, a gravelly voice answered. I was wondering when you'd cash in that favor. It's time, Silas, I said, staring up at Gavin's window. I need the shark. Silas Mercer didn't do offices anymore. He did dark corners of dive bars, and that's exactly where I found him an hour later. The Rusty Anchor was a place where daylight went to die, smelling of stale beer and lemon pledge. Silas was sitting in a back booth, nursing a bourbon that looked older than the bartender. He hadn't changed much in 10 years. Maybe a little more gray in the beard, a few more lines around the eyes, but he still had that look of a man who knew where all the bodies were buried because he'd held the shovel. You look like you've seen a ghost, Elena, he said, not standing up. He gestured to the empty seat opposite him. Or maybe you just got fired. I sat down, sliding my wet raincoat off my shoulders. How did you know? I still have friends in the courthouse. Word travels fast when Gavin Thorne files a restructuring notice, Silas smirked. He's an idiot, by the way. Filing on a Friday implies panic. He fired my whole team, Silas. 10 people, replaced us with one guy, Julian, something. Julian Vane. Silas's eyes narrowed instantly. The playfulness vanished. You know him. I know of him, Silas swirled his drink. Flashy, expensive, left his last firm, Stratosphere, under a cloud of mystery last week. Rumor has it he didn't just leave, he was escorted out by security. My heart skipped a beat. Gavin called him a rockstar. Gavin bought a lemon, Silas said flatly. But that's not why you're here. You want to kill the king. I don't want to kill him, I corrected, leaning forward. I want to outwork him. My team didn't sign the NDAs. We have no non-competes. We want to start our own agency by Monday morning. I need you to handle the incorporation, the contracts, everything. And I need it bulletproof. Silas let out a low whistle. Monday, that's 48 hours. The paperwork alone usually takes weeks. You owe me, Silas, I said softly. Remember 2016, the malpractice suit, the evidence that went missing? He went still. He remembered. I was the one who found the email that exonerated him when his own partners were ready to throw him to the wolves. I saved his license. I saved his life. Fine, he grunted, slamming his glass down. But if we do this, we do it my way. You don't just want a company, you want a weapon. We incorporate in Delaware for the privacy. We set up a tiered equity structure so your team feels like owners, not employees. That buys loyalty and... He pulled a crumpled napkin from the dispenser and a pen from his pocket. We need a name, something that sounds established, something that sounds like the opposite of Apex. I thought about it. Apex was about being on top, about dominance. We were about the foundation, the support, the people who actually held the building up. Pillar, I said, Pillar Strategy Group. Silas scribbled it down. Good, solid. Now, here's the fun part. Since you didn't sign the separation agreements, you technically haven't agreed to return any intellectual property that resides in your memory. I left the files, Silas. I didn't take anything. Good girl, he grinned, a shark-like baring of teeth. Because taking files is theft. But calling a friend you've known for 5 years to say, I have a new job, that's just networking. We need to draft client retention letters. Not solicitations, announcements. What's the difference? Solicitation is asking for business. An announcement is just informing them of a change in your professional status. If they happen to decide to follow you, well, that's the free market at work. He stood up, tossing a 20 on the table. Go home, Elena, get some sleep. By tomorrow morning, you'll be the CEO of Pillar Strategy Group, and I'll be your general counsel. Pro bono, for now. Saturday was a blur of caffeine and adrenaline. My living room was transformed into a command center. I had pushed the dining table against the wall, set up 3 monitors I borrowed from my daughter's gaming setup, and had a whiteboard propped up on the sofa. My team started trickling in at 8:00 a.m. They brought laptops, power strips, and a terrifying amount of determination. Ben was the first to arrive. He looked like he hadn't slept, but he was smiling. I checked the domain name. https://www.google.com/search Q equals Pillar Strategy. Com was taken, but Pillar Group IO was available. I bought it. Good, I said, handing him a coffee. Chloe, where are we on the branding? Chloe, sitting cross-legged on the floor, spun her laptop around. It's clean, minimalist, serif fonts. It looks like we've been in business for 50 years. I call it quiet luxury corporate style. It makes Apex's logo look like a Monster energy drink. It was perfect. At 10:00 a.m., Silas walked in. He was wearing a suit now, looking every bit the high-powered attorney he used to be. He carried a briefcase and a portable printer. Sign these, he said, distributing thick packets to everyone. Operating agreements, you're all founding partners, vesting Schedule I. S aggressive, you win, you eat. The energy in the room shifted. They weren't employees anymore. They were owners. Now, Silas said, turning to the whiteboard, the loophole. He drew a timeline. Gavin fired you on Friday afternoon, but based on the standard Apex employment contract, which I reviewed last night, benefits and access privileges don't officially terminate until the end of the pay period, which is Sunday at midnight. So, Marcus asked. So, Silas tapped the board. Legally, you are still employees of Apex until tomorrow night. You can't work for a competitor yet, but you can prepare for your future. And more importantly, you can update your personal contact information on LinkedIn and other public directories. I don't get it, Ben said. Gavin is going to lock you out of your email on Monday, Silas explained. But he can't stop clients from looking you up on LinkedIn. Everyone, right now, change your status to former director at Apex. Do not list Pillar yet. That drops Monday at 9:01 a.m., but here is the key. He looked at me. Elena, you have the personal cell phone numbers of your top 5 clients, right? Not in the company database, but in your head. Or maybe on your personal phone because they texted you on weekends. Of course, I said. Mr. Henderson texted me photos of his grandkids last week. Perfect, Silas smiled. You are not going to ask Mr. Henderson for his business. You are going to send a personal text, a goodbye text, thanking him for the years of friendship. I understood. It was a soft play, emotional judo. Draft this, Silas dictated. Dear Mr. Henderson, it has been an honor serving you for the past decade. Due to restructuring at Apex, my team and I have been let go. I wanted to personally thank you for your trust. I'm not sure where I'll land yet, but I'll miss our chats. Best, Elena. That's it, Chloe asked. We don't tell him about Pillar. No, I said, realizing the genius of it. We let him get mad first. Sunday night, we didn't sleep. We polished the website. We set up the email servers. We role-played the calls we would take if the clients reached out. Monday, 8:00 a.m. We were all in my living room. The silence was heavy. We knew that across town, at the Apex offices, Julian Vane was walking in, ready to revolutionize the department. Okay, I said, looking at the clock. It's time. Update your LinkedIn profiles. Founding partner at Pillar Strategy Group. 10 keys hit enter simultaneously. Then I picked up my phone. I found Mr. Henderson's contact. My thumb hovered over the send button for the goodbye text. Do it, I told myself. Burn the boat. I hit send. We waited, 8:15 a.m. Nothing, 8:30 a.m., nothing. Maybe he doesn't care, Ben whispered, biting his nails. Maybe Gavin was right. Maybe they just want the brand. My phone buzzed. The room froze. I looked at the screen. It was a text from Henderson. What? Fired. Who is handling the Q4 launch? I have a meeting with your team at 11. I typed back. I believe a Mr. Julian Vane will be taking that meeting. He is the new VP. I waited, 3 dots appeared, then stopped, then appeared again. I don't know a Julian Vane. I know you, I'm calling Gavin. He's calling Gavin, I announced to the room. A cheer went up, but I silenced them with a hand. Not yet, wait for the fallout. At 9:30 a.m. my phone rang. It was Henderson. Elena, his voice was booming. I just got off the phone with that idiot Gavin. He put this Julian guy on. The man asked me what my pain points were. I told him my pain point was talking to him. He doesn't know the first thing about our account. I'm sorry to hear that, Jim, I said, keeping my voice calm, professional. It's a transition period for them. I don't have time for transitions, he shouted. I have a product launch in 3 weeks. Elena, where are you going? Can I hire you as a consultant? I looked at Ben, I looked at Silas. Silas nodded. Actually, Jim, I said, I didn't just leave alone. My entire team is with me. We launched a boutique agency this morning. We're fully operational. There was a pause on the line, a long, heavy pause. The whole team, he asked. Ben, Chloe. Everyone, we're sitting in my living room right now, ready to work. Send me the contract, Henderson said. I'm firing Apex before lunch. I hung up the phone, tears pricked my eyes. We got him. But we didn't just get Henderson. By noon, 3 other clients had called. They had all received the generic new sheriff in town email from Julian, which had apparently misspelled 2 of their company names. By 2:00 p.m., we had poached 40% of Apex's revenue. But the real victory came at 4:00 p.m. I received a notification on my phone, a forwarded email from a friend still inside Apex, a receptionist who had survived the cuts. Subject, urgent, all HANDS meeting. The body read, Mr. Thorne requires everyone in the main conference room IM'd. IATely, no exceptions. They were panicking. It's working, I told the team, but we're not done. We need to make sure Julian can't fight back. Silas looked up from his laptop in the corner. Oh, he won't be fighting anyone. I just found something interesting about his exit from Stratosphere. What? I asked. He didn't just leave, Silas said, turning his screen toward us. He's under investigation by the SEC for insider trading, and he just uploaded the Apex client database to a personal cloud server. I can see the traffic pinging off a public node. He's stealing their data, Ben asked, horrified. He's a thief, Silas grinned, and Gavin just gave him the keys to the castle. Tuesday morning felt like waking up in a different life. The fear was gone, replaced by a frenetic, joyful purpose. We had work to do, real work. Mr. Henderson insisted on lunch. I want to see the new headquarters, he had joked on the phone. I told him the headquarters was currently a suburban dining room with excellent Wi-Fi and even better coffee, but he didn't care. He wanted to take me and Ben to the Capitol Grill. This was a power move. The Capitol Grill was where Gavin took clients to seal deals. It was his turf. Henderson knew that. We walked in at 12:30 p.m. The maitre d', who knew me from 100 dinners with Gavin, did a double take. Ms. Vance, I didn't see a reservation under Apex. It's under Henderson, I said, smiling. And I'm not with Apex anymore, Robert. I'm with Pillar. Robert nodded, his face a mask of professional neutrality, and led us to the back. There, in the best booth, sat Jim Henderson, and sitting right across from him was Gavin. My stomach dropped. Gavin had ambushed him. Henderson looked annoyed. Gavin looked desperate. He was leaning in, talking fast, his hands animating a story that Henderson clearly wasn't buying. When Gavin saw us, he froze. His face went through a complex gymnastics routine. Shock, anger, then a forced, plastic welcome. "Elena," he boomed, standing up too quickly. "And Ben, what a surprise. I was just telling Jim here about the exciting new direction we're taking." "Sit down, Gavin," Henderson grunted, not looking up from his menu. "I invited them." "You did," Gavin looked between us. "But Jim, we were discussing the renewal terms. I have Julian working on a bespoke package for you right now." "I met Julian," Henderson said, finally looking at Gavin. "He called me Jimbo on the phone this morning, and he asked me what our Q3 revenue was. Gavin, your team has had access to our financials for 5 years. Why is he asking me questions you should already know the answers to?" "It's a fresh perspective," Gavin pleaded. "He's auditing the data to find inefficiencies." "He's incompetent," Henderson snapped. "Elena here, she knows my kids' birthdays. She knows I hate red charts because I'm colorblind. She knows my business." Henderson turned to me. "Elena, did you bring the papers?" "I did, Jim," I said, pulling a blue folder from my bag. "Service agreement. Same rates as before, but with a dedicated team available 24/7, and a clause that guarantees Ben is your lead strategist." Gavin stared at the folder like it was a bomb. "Jim, you can't be serious. You're going with them. They don't even have an office." "I don't hire offices, Gavin," Henderson said, signing the document with a flourish. "I hire people." He handed the folder back to me. "Done. Pillar is our agency of record effective immediately." Gavin turned purple. This is tortious interference. You're soliciting my clients." "I didn't call him Gavin," I said calmly. "He called me, and I think you'll find our non-competes were contingent on severance packages we never signed." Gavin opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He looked at Henderson, then at me, and realized he had lost, totally and completely. "Enjoy your lunch," Gavin spat. He grabbed his jacket and stormed out, knocking over a water glass on his way. The crash silenced the restaurant. Henderson watched him go, then picked up his wine glass. "Well," he smiled, "that was satisfying. Now let's talk about the launch." By Wednesday, the exodus was in full swing. It wasn't just Henderson, it was the domino effect. In our industry, clients talk. They golf together, they attend the same conferences. The story of Gavin firing his best team to hire a Rockstar who called clients Jimbo spread like wildfire. Back at the Apex office, things were unraveling fast. My friend Sarah, Gavin's assistant, was feeding me intel via encrypted texts. "Sarah, it's a ghost town. Julian is locked in his office screaming at it. Apparently, he can't find the archived project files." "Me, that's because Ben organized them by client code, not date. Julian would know that if he asked." "Sarah, he won't ask, he's too proud. Gavin is in the boardroom with the partners, they're looking at the projections. It's bad. Elena, they're down 60% on monthly recurring revenue." I felt a pang of guilt, but I shoved it down. Gavin did this. He chose the rock star over the workers. But the real blow came that afternoon. I was working with Chloe on the new logo for Henderson's launch when my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. "This is Elena." "Ms. Vance, this is Catherine Wu from Tech Global." Tech Global, the third largest account at Apex. We hadn't reached out to them because they were notoriously strict about vendor contracts. "Hello, Catherine, how can I help you?" "I just got off a Zoom call with Julian Vane," she said. Her voice was trembling with suppressed rage. He tried to pitch us a synergy rebranding. He used a slide deck that still had another company's logo on the footer, Stratosphere's logo. My jaw dropped. Julian was recycling old work. "That's unfortunate," I said. "It's unprofessional," she corrected. "But that's not the worst part. When I pointed it out, he told me I was focusing on the wrong metrics and that women often get hung up on details." Ms. Vance, does Apex have an HR department anymore? I'm afraid I can't speak for Apex, Catherine, I said. But at Pillar, we focus on the details, and we don't treat our clients like that. Can you take us on? She asked bluntly. We need a transition plan by Friday. We can, I said. I'll have Ben send over the paperwork. I hung up and looked at the team. We just got Tech Global. The room erupted. That was it. We had officially taken 80% of Apex's revenue in 3 days. But Silas wasn't celebrating. He was staring at his laptop, his brow furrowed. What is it? I asked. I've been digging into Julian's background, Silas said, and I found something that makes the insider trading look like a parking ticket. He's not just incompetent, Alina, he's dangerous. How? Stratosphere didn't just fire him, they sued him, quietly, for IP theft. He steals proprietary algorithms from the firms he works for and sells them on the black market. He's a corporate parasite. Does Gavin know? No, Silas said grimly. Gavin didn't do a background check because he was too busy admiring Julian's suit. But here's the kicker. Julian just connected an external hard drive to the Apex main server. He's doing it again. He's downloading the entire company database. He's gutting the place, I whispered. If he sells that data, Silas said, Apex isn't just bankrupt. It's liable. Every client, including Henderson and Tech Global, will sue Apex for the breach. And since Gavin is the CEO. Gavin loses everything, I finished. His house, his assets, everything. I looked at the team. They were happy. They were winning. But if Apex went down in a legal fireball, it would hurt people like Sarah. Innocent people. We have to stop him, I said. Why? Ben asked. Let it burn. Because I'm not Gavin, I said firmly. I don't destroy people for sport. Silas, how do we stop the transfer? We can't, Silas said, but we can call the cops. Thursday morning, the calm before the final storm. I debated calling Gavin. He wouldn't believe me. He'd think it was a trick, so I did the only thing I could. I called the one person Gavin listened to, his lawyer, Alan. Alan was a decent man, stuck representing a narcissist. Alina, Alan sounded tired. I assume you're calling to gloat or to offer a settlement. Neither, Alan. Listen to me very carefully. You need to get security to the server room at Apex. Right now. What? Why? Julian Vane is exfiltrating the client database. He's stealing the IP. Check the network logs, Alan. Look for a massive outbound transfer to an external IP address. Alina, if this is a prank. Check the logs, I shouted. If that data leaves the building, Apex is liable for a massive GDPR violation and breach of contract. Gavin will be personally on the hook. There was silence on the line. Then, the sound of typing. Oh my God, Alan whispered. There's a transfer active, 4 terabytes, it's everything. Stop him, Alan. Call the police. I hung up. 30 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Gavin. Alina, he was hyperventilating. Alina, the police are here. They're arresting Julian. He had a drive. He was stealing it all. I know, Gavin. How did you know? He sobbed. How did you know when I didn't? Because I do my homework, I said coldly. Something you forgot to do. Thank you, he wept. You saved the company. You saved me. Alina, please. Come back, I'll fire Julian. I'll give you a raise, double your salary. Just come back and fix this. I looked around my living room. Ben was laughing on the phone with a vendor. Chloe was showing Marcus a new logo concept. The air was light. We were building something real. No, Gavin, I said. What? But I'm offering you everything. You have nothing to offer me, I said. The clients are gone. The team is gone. You haven't. Empty building and a lawsuit. You don't have a company anymore. But I have the name, he screamed. I am Apex. Apex is just a word, Gavin, and right now, it means failure. I ended the call. That afternoon, the news broke. Tech executive arrested for corporate espionage at Apex Marketing. The stock plummeted. Vendors pulled their contracts. By Friday morning, Apex marketing was effectively dead in the water. But Silas had one more card to play: the Espionage Trap. The police have the drive, Silas told us over pizza that night, but the data on it, it's encrypted, and guess who has the only key? Julian, I asked. No, Silas smiled. The system administrator, who just happens to be Marcus. We all looked at Marcus. He shrugged. I never gave Julian the admin passwords. He was using a guest account with elevated privileges, but he couldn't decrypt the core files without my key. So, Ben said slowly, he stole gibberish. He stole 4 terabytes of encrypted noise, Silas laughed. Gavin was never in real danger of a data breach, but he didn't know that. He panicked. He called the cops on his own VP. He destroyed his own reputation publicly. We let him destroy himself, I realized. Exactly, Silas raised a slice of pepperoni. To the Rockstar. The following Monday, the other shoe dropped. And it wasn't a shoe, it was a concrete block. We were working out of a rented co-working space downtown, a temporary upgrade from my living room, when Silas walked in. He wasn't smiling. He was holding a thick, bound document with a red cover. In the legal world, red means blood. It's over, Silas said, tossing the document onto the communal table. Stratosphere just filed. Filed what? Ben asked, looking up from his dual monitors. A RICO lawsuit, Silas said, and the room went silent. Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. They aren't just suing Julian for the data theft. They are suing Apex Marketing and Gavin Thorne personally for conspiracy to commit industrial espionage. Conspiracy, I asked, but Gavin didn't know. Ignorance isn't a defense when you fast-track the hiring process and bypass standard compliance checks, Silas explained, tapping the cover. Stratosphere's lawyers are arguing that by hiring Julian, a known risk, and giving him unrestricted server access immediately, Gavin was complicit. They're claiming Apex was a criminal enterprise designed to absorb stolen IP. That's insane, Chloe whispered. It's aggressive, Silas corrected. But here is the trap. Because it's a federal case involving potential criminal assets, Stratosphere filed an emergency injunction. A judge granted it an hour ago. Silas looked at me, his eyes dark. They froze Gavin's assets, all of them. The company accounts, his personal savings, his investment portfolio. He can't make payroll. He can't pay the rent on the building. He can't even buy a tank of gas for that Porsche. My phone buzzed. It was Sarah. Sarah, the bank just declined the corporate card for the coffee delivery. Gavin is in his office with the door locked. We haven't been paid for last week. What do we do? I felt a wave of nausea. This wasn't just revenge anymore. It was carnage. Innocent people like Sarah were getting caught in the crossfire of Gavin's ego. Silas, I said, we have to hire them. Who? The support staff. Sarah, the receptionists, the janitorial crew. Everyone Gavin left behind. If his accounts are frozen, they're working for free right now. Elena, Ben warned. We're a startup. We can't afford a payroll of 20 people yet. We can if we win the Stratosphere contract, I said. Everyone looked at me. Stratosphere is the victim here, I reasoned. They lost their data, or thought they did, and they're angry. They need a reliable partner to handle their marketing while they deal with this legal mess. A partner who knows exactly how Julian operates and how to undo the damage. I grabbed my coat. Silas, get the car. We're going to pay a visit to Stratosphere's CEO. You want to pitch the company that is currently suing your old boss, Silas grinned. That's bold, I like it. We drove to Stratosphere's headquarters. I didn't have an appointment, but I had something better, the truth. I told the receptionist I had information regarding the Julian Vane data breach. 10 minutes later, I was sitting across from Marcus Sterling, the CEO of Stratosphere. He looked exhausted. Ms. Vance, he said, my lawyers tell me you're the one who blew the whistle on Julian. I am, I said. And I'm the one who ensured he only stole encrypted gibberish. Your data is safe, Mr. Sterling. My IT director made sure of it. Sterling leaned back. So you saved my IP. Why? Because I believe in fair play, I said, and because I want your business. I laid out our proposal. We would take over the overflow work Stratosphere couldn't handle during the litigation. We would do it at a fair rate, and we would use the revenue to hire the support staff Gavin was effectively stiffing. Sterling looked at me for a long time. You're trying to save the people your old boss abandoned. They're good people, I said. They don't deserve to starve because Gavin wanted a rock star. Sterling extended his hand. You have a deal, Alina, and good luck with the auction. What auction? The foreclosure, Sterling said grimly. The bank is seizing Apex's physical assets on Friday. It's a liquidation sale. Friday morning was gray and cold, fitting for a funeral, and that's what this was. The funeral of Apex Marketing. The auction was held in the lobby of the building I had worked in for 10 years. Strangers were walking around, putting sticky notes on the furniture. Vultures picking at the carcass. I walked in with Ben and Silas. It was surreal. There was my old desk, tagged with Lot 402. There was the break room coffee machine, Lot 115. Gavin was there. He sat in the corner, wearing a tracksuit, looking unshaven and aged 10 years in 10 days. He wasn't shouting anymore. He was just watching. When he saw me, he didn't sneer. He didn't yell. He just looked down at his sneakers. Ladies and gentlemen, the auctioneer began, we are here to liquidate the assets of Apex Marketing Solutions. We will start with the office furniture. I bought the chairs, I bought the desks, I bought the computers. Why are we buying this junk? Ben whispered. We have new stuff. We're not buying it for us, I said. We're buying it for Sarah, and for the interns, we're moving back in. What? I spoke to the landlord yesterday, I smiled. With Gavin evicted, the lease was void. I signed a new one this morning. Pillar Strategy Group is taking over the floor. We're coming home, Ben, but this time it's our home. The auction continued. Finally, they got to the main item. Lot 900, the auctioneer bellowed. One custom mahogany conference table, slight wear, excellent condition. It was the table where Gavin fired us. The table where I had spent a decade building his empire. $50, a man in the back called out. 100, I said. Gavin looked up, he watched me. 200, the man countered. 500, I said firmly. Sold to the lady in the trench coat. I walked over to the table and ran my hand along the edge. It was cold, solid. Gavin approached me slowly. He looked like a ghost. You bought the table, he croaked. I did, I said. It's a good table. It just had the wrong person sitting at the head of it. I lost everything, Alina, he whispered. The house, the car. My wife left yesterday. She said she didn't sign up for bankruptcy. You didn't lose it, Gavin, I said, looking him in the eye. You threw it away. You traded loyalty for optics. You traded substance for flash. This is the cost of doing business that way. I'm sorry, he said, and for the first time I think he meant it. I know, I said, but sorry doesn't pay the severance you owe my team, so I'm taking the office. Sarah is coming with me. The team is coming with me. You can go. He nodded, turned, and walked out the glass doors into the rain. He didn't have an umbrella. I watched him go, then turned to Ben. Get the moving truck. We have a company to build. 1 year later, I sat on the balcony of my house, a new house, paid for with the dividends from Pillar's first year. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. Pillar Strategy Group was no longer a boutique agency. We were the agency. We had 50 employees, including everyone from the old Apex support staff. We had Henderson, Tech Global, Stratosphere, and a dozen other Fortune 500s. We didn't have rock stars. We had workers. We had owners. Every employee had equity. I took a sip of iced tea and looked at the tablet in my lap. It was a news article. Former Apex CEO, Gavin Thorne pleads guilty to negligence, sentenced to community service and probation. Currently working as a shift manager at a logistics warehouse. I didn't feel happy, I didn't feel sad, I just felt balanced. The scales had corrected themselves. Julian Vane was in prison. He had tried to flip on a bigger fish, but nobody likes a rat and nobody likes a thief. The life twist wasn't just that Julian was a criminal. It was that Gavin, in his arrogance, had signed a clause in Julian's contract that indemnified Julian against legal fees. Gavin had literally paid for the lawyer who lost him his own company. The irony was almost poetic. I put the tablet down and looked out at the garden. My daughter was there, planting tulips. She looked up and waved. I waved back. I had one, not because I was vindictive, not because I was cruel, but because I knew the value of the people around me, and I refused to let anyone treat them like legacy weight. If you're watching this, you might be sitting in a cubicle right now, wondering if our loyalty matters. I'm here to tell you the hard truth. To a corporation, you are a line item. To a bad boss, you are an expense. My mistake wasn't working hard. My mistake was thinking that my hard work would buy me protection. I ignored the red flags, the narcissism, the focus on optics over results. I thought if I just made him enough money, I'd be safe. I was wrong. Here is what I learned and what you need to know. 1. Own your contacts. Your network is the only asset you truly own, not your laptop, not your office. The relationships you build are yours. Keep their numbers in your personal phone. 2. Don't sign away your future. Read your employment contracts. If they ask for a non-compete, fight it. If they ask for an NDA to get your severance, weigh the cost. Sometimes, your freedom is worth more than 2 weeks' pay. 3. When they show you who they are, believe them. Gavin showed me he didn't care about people. I stayed for 10 years. Don't make that mistake. If leadership chooses flash over substance, leave before the ship sinks. Build your own lifeboat. Because when the storm comes, and it always comes, the only person who will save you is you. If this story of justice touched you, please like, share, and subscribe. We're building a community here, and we want you to be a part of it.